Hey everybody, so it's Sunday. Well, no, it's Saturday when I'm recording this, but if you're seeing it, it's Sunday because I'll drop it tomorrow, which means it's time for Games of the Week. So, NHL Games of the Week, I go through the entire schedule for the upcoming week in the NHL and pick out which games I think are going to be the best. So let's get right into it. I'll say right now there aren't a ton this week. The matchups are not overly spectacular this week. There are some days where I don't see anything that really jumps out as that great. But there's still some quality games to watch throughout this week. So let's get right into it. Starting with today, Sunday the 6th, Tampa Bay versus Carolina. This I think, is going to be a good early season test for the Carolina Hurricanes. Tampa Bay is obviously one of the top teams in the league. And Carolina, there's some questions around that team this year. I think no one really expected them to make the run that they did last season. I think, a lot of people had them missing the playoffs. Some people had them squeaking in. But nobody, I don't think really anybody expected an Eastern Conference final appearance from Carolina. And going into this year, they've made a few changes. And we really don't know, are they that level team, or did they just get hot at the right time last season and go deep into the playoffs? Are they going to be able to repeat the performance that they had last year? This is a good early season test for the Hurricanes against, one of, if not the best team in the league in Tampa Bay. So that should be a good game to watch and an important one for Carolina to see how they look against a top-tier opponent. Nothing on Monday, the 7th. There's only 2 games that night, and neither one of them to me are particularly special. So then moving on to Tuesday, the 8th, San Jose at Nashville. This is the NBCSN game that night. The Sharks are not off to a good start. San Jose, obviously a team that went to the Western Conference Final last year, a team that once again is expected to be good, has gotten blasted by Vegas in both of in their first 2 games this season. So San Jose is not off to a great start. They're playing another really, really good team in the Nashville Predators on Tuesday night. That's an important game for them. They have got to, show that they can win games against these tough opponents. And then for Nashville, obviously they're a team that's looking to contend for the Western Conference this year and the Stanley Cup this year. So going up against an opponent like San Jose, who was in the Western Conference Final last year, is going to be a pretty good, benchmarker game for Nashville as well. So that's a fun matchup and should be a good one to watch. Wednesday, the 9th, we have New Jersey at Philadelphia. This should be a fun Metro Division game between 2 teams that missed the playoffs last year and are hoping to make the playoffs this year after making a significant amount of changes in the offseason and trying to add to their teams. Division rivals here. Those Metro Division teams, especially like the New York teams, New Jersey, Pittsburgh, Washington, and Philadelphia, when any of those teams play, it's a rivalry game, and New Jersey and Philly is certainly no different. So that should be a fun one to watch. That's probably going to be the game that I stream this week, Wednesday night at 7:30. So I will be watching that for sure, and that I think is going to be a really good matchup, and probably a pretty heated matchup as well between 2 teams that are looking to be much better this year than they were last year. Moving on to Thursday, October 10th, we've got a couple of really good matchups that night. One in the Eastern Conference, one in the Western Conference. In the East, we have Tampa Bay versus Toronto. And, I don't think I need to explain much beyond that. Obviously, that's 2 of the best teams in the Eastern Conference, 2 of the, great Atlantic Division teams, divisional matchup, very high-scoring teams. That's going to be a great game to watch that night. And then late, we have Vegas versus Arizona. And this, to me, is a benchmark game for the Arizona Coyotes. Vegas is off to a really hot start. They've blasted San Jose in both of their games so far. For Arizona, they're a team that is looked at as a team that's supposed to be improved this year, a team that's getting better. a rebuilding team that is supposed to be starting to show the fruits of that rebuild now. Playing what I think is the best team in the division in the Pacific in Vegas is really going to be a strong matchup for the Coyotes, and they're going to see, where do we stack up with the best in our division. So it's a divisional matchup. It should be a really good game, and it's an important game, I think, for the Coyotes on home ice to show that they can play with the top teams in their division. Move Friday, October 11th. There's only 3 games that night, and I don't think any of them are game of the week worthy, which brings us to Saturday, October 12th, the last day of this week. We've got a couple of interesting games that night. One, New Jersey at Boston. I think, again, I'm looking at some kind of benchmark games for teams that are looking to be improved this year. This is a benchmark game for New Jersey. Boston's one of the best teams in the East. They went to the Stanley Cup final last year. And New Jersey was a last-place team last season who now, with the off-season moves that they've made, think that they're a playoff-level team this season. So if New Jersey's going to be a playoff-level team, they've got to, be able to beat teams like Boston or at least hang in the game and keep it close with them. So that, I think, is going to be a really good game. It's going to be a fun game to watch. And I want to see how the Devils look against a top-tier opponent like the Boston Bruins. And finally, Saturday night, late game, Calgary at Vegas. Again, 2 Pacific Division teams that think that they're first place level Pacific Division teams. Now, I'm much higher on Vegas this year than I am on Calgary, but this is going to be a good matchup and a fun game to watch. And I think it's a good test for both of those teams. Vegas against the team that won the division last year, Calgary against what I think is the best team in the division this year, at least roster-wise. Again, divisional matchup. I think it's going to be a really fun one in Vegas with the Flames and Golden Knights playing Saturday night. So those are my games of the week this week. If you get the chance to watch any of these, I would say that it will definitely be worth your time to check out these matchups. I will be watching as many of these as I can. And it's not a super great week in the NHL as far as matchups go, but there are some really, really fun games mixed in throughout this week. So I think these are definitely worth watching and will be fun to watch and worth your time. So with that, like, comment, share, subscribe, follow on social media. All those links are down in the description below. If you'd like to further support the channel, the links to our Patreon and merchandise store are down in the description as well. Keep spreading the word about this channel. Let's keep this thing growing. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll talk to you guys soon.